so next item.
Approval of minutes. Approval of minutes of the following Dearborn Board of Education meeting. Executive session closed at client-attorney privilege, June 12th, 2017. Regular P12 meeting, June 12th, 2017. Finance Committee meeting, June 15th, 2017. Make any necessary corrections and move approval of these minutes.
So moved.
Support.
I'd like to, the June 12th meeting, the minutes,
Okay, go ahead.
it was supported, right?
Yes.
did.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Just
Motioned
wanted to
and
make sure.
supported.
Make sure. We all received the minutes originally, where it said that trustee Berry acknowledged that he is abstaining from voting. I sent the email right away to correct that, and it was corrected. It said trustee Berry states that he's not engaging in the process. But since then, there's a dictation here, I believe probably went off one of the taping. But it said, I mean, it clearly says, President Lane said to Dr. Wilmot before we start, I don't know whether trustee Berry wants to participate. He indicated he might not want to. Then says trustee Berry made a decision last week that he wasn't going to, so thank you. Dr. Wilmot said, trustee Berry, so you are abstaining. I am abstaining from participating. So to make sure that was clear. The other thing I wanted to bring up is on page 14, towards the middle of the page, it says here, abstaining counts as a vote to the majority per board, and it says board policy, blah, blah, blah. I specifically asked you, Chair Lane, last week, did you know about this? The previous meeting, you said you didn't.
I did not.
So why are we entering into the minutes of a meeting that happened on June 12th?
On
after
the,
the fact?
as I said last week, that was on the advice of Mr. Courier, that we put that in there. We took page 12, I asked, I think it was Mrs. Palmer that originally sent it to us.
Yeah, Janet Palmer.
She sent it to us, and then I asked Ms. Harris to take it exactly from the tape so that it could be as accurate as possible. So that's a transcription from the tape.
just-
And then there's a hyperlink so that anyone can go and look at the tape. The hyperlink is embedded in the minutes so that we could be as accurate
That's
as
for
possible.
the first statement.
That's for the
Yeah.
first statement. Then, the second part, I did not know on the 12th that abstention would count as a fourth vote. But Mr. Courier's opinion then made that clear that it would. So it was on his suggestion that we put that in there for people to understand what happened and why the June 12th vote was construed as a fourth. So that's why it's in there.
Okay, so on the first point, I mean, I'm very clear that I made it, I'm abstaining from the participating in the process. So it doesn't say I'm participating. And you know what? Robert's Rules of Order does very clearly say you can't abstain from a vote until the vote's on the table. So I'm not worried about that. But so what you're telling me, as we're on the record now, is this clause was our legal counsel that asked for it.
Yes.
Even though that's not what we knew at the time.
We didn't
when the
know
min-
that
when
at the
minutes-
time. That's correct.
Well, I don't know, I'm having a problem with that.
Yeah, 'cause
He
it's
wasn't at this
confusing.
meeting, and our corresponding secretary does an amazing job. I mean, maybe one or two mistakes the whole year, and then usually a misspelling of something. Well, for us to say that the corresponding secretary, for her to enter this into the minutes of the June 12th meeting, that's just not registering with me, to be honest with you.
I had the same question because it gives the appearance then that that's
That we
something
knew.
that we knew.
So we can add a statement there that this is being added at the advice or subsequent to the legal opinion. And it's being added for that reason to explain.
It was never mentioned on the-
It
during the.
didn't. Yeah,
It was not
right. How can
How can
mentioned
something not
on
mentioned in the June 12th meeting?
No, it was not
Go
mentioned
into the
on June 12th.
minutes of the June 12th meeting? I mean, how could that be? It wasn't mentioned. And I asked you, if you knew, or if somebody else knew, if I was the only one that didn't know that there's a policy in here, then I just, I guess I'll just shut up. But Nobody knew.
The minutes are supposed to reflect what actually took place at the meeting. So since that didn't actually take place, that I have the same question of why it's being placed in those particular minutes. We didn't find out about it until after.
Right, that's right. So we have the minutes as they were recorded, and then on the advice of council, we put this in. So it can be clarified that it's being added at the advice of council.
Mr. Courier did contact me and
Maleko,
said
you
that
wanna
he
add
would
it?
talk to Ms. Harris directly about what needed to be added, so I believe he spoke
But
to you.
again, Dr.
Yeah,
Maleko,
no, just-
he was not here.
No, I'm not.
He was not here.
I understand.
He left. He was here earlier that day, and he
I
left.
understand.
Okay? So for this to go into our minutes,
Would give the impression.
question that we made a mistake here. I mean, we were told. It clearly contradicts what you sent us in board briefs after talking to Mr. Wilmot or Dr. Wilmot, you and Chair Lane. It clearly contradicts. So we get something on a Thursday. I probably didn't read it till Sunday morning, or maybe Sunday night. And you're putting something in the minutes of that meeting that contradicts, and it was
So-
never mentioned, it was never discussed, it was never talked about
No, it
during that
was
meeting.
not talked about on June 12th.
Yeah.
Why don't we add a statement in here then that this is being added at the advice of council?
It still doesn't,
Doesn't give a reason
Still
why
doesn't
it's
give a reason.
being added in these particular minutes.
I think it's. if
Because
I-
it was an action that is, yeah, go ahead,
I
trustee
think
Hamud.
what's being added, can I say that, trustee Barry?
oh yeah, it's right here. Sorry. Staying struggling with notes.
What's being added is not something foreign. It's something that is actually in our bylaws. And it's being added to clarify or to basically go hand in hand with the vote that was taken. So it's not something that wasn't said. It's something that we have to follow every time we're here. And it's the bylaws that we have. So this section is actually, it's in our bylaws, and
But it needs to be-
it's on our website.
We didn't
and it's
discuss it that
something.
night.
So for example, we follow our bylaws here every day. Does that mean that they're in our minutes every single time? No, but automatically we know that we follow them. This is not something that's foreign. To say that us having a section from our bylaws to basically go right after the roll call, I don't see that it's something foreign or wasn't decided. Those are the laws that we follow.
What we need to make clear, though, because the average community member who will read it will think it is something that we were all well aware of during that particular meeting when that vote was taken, and it was not. So I think it needs to be.
These are the minutes, these
be
are the minutes
clear.
for the 2 years I was off the board. And somehow, some way, God sent me a message. I asked for these as soon as I got on the board from Dr. Maleko, as I was asking for these bylaws, books. I can't sit there and read off a computer. I get this nasty headache. I definitely can't read off this little device right here. So that's why I asked. And David, where's David? Thank you for providing these. I know it took a while, but thank you for providing these. So as I'm going through these minutes, and I'm gonna bring one up, I was skimming through the minutes and the votes and the way they went and this and that. I need to be, or somebody later on in the future needs to look back at these minutes and say, what the heck happened here? It's right in their minutes. Their board policy is in their minutes. How can they screw this up? I can't support these minutes, to be honest with you, with this.
Well,
in
we can do one of two things. We can either take a vote on it, or we can, if you agree to it, we can add a statement
I would
that.
like a roll call vote on those
Sure,
minutes,
okay,
please.
we can do that,
Yeah.
so.
Thank you.
Okay, then, trustee Petrikov, will you call a roll call for us?
Okay, we had the
So
motion
we had
support.
a motion and a second,
Sure.
and the motion is, just for everybody, to accept the minutes as they are.
As they are.
With the hyperlink and with the transcription.
Just as a reminder, Ms. Nasser was not at that meeting, so she can't vote on these minutes.
I don't know about that.
How
She,
can she vote on the minutes that she?
I think
on a
she
meeting
was at
wasn't
that
present?
meeting in any case.
She wasn't in
and,
capacity as a board member.
She wasn't as a board member, no, that's true.
Was she on the record
But
that she was at
she's-
the meeting? So how can she? Wow.
She's voting as a board member now,
For minutes at a meeting
For-
that she didn't attend as a board member?
yeah.
Okay, are we taking these notes, please?
We're
Okay,
being
thank you.
recorded also,
Sure.
so, yeah, I mean, we can review all of this later if it,
Sure,
okay?
sure.
Okay, we ready?
Yep.
Trustee Barry?
No.
Trustee Hamud?
Yes.
Trustee Nasser? Yes. Trustee Mead?
Yes.
Trustee Petlicoff, no. Trustee Thorpe is absent. President Lane?
Yes. So,
So this motion was passed
4-2, or
with a majority
4-2.
vote? Okay, and I made it very clear that, nothing against Ms. Nasser, but she wasn't at that meeting when these minutes were being done.
That'll be recorded in these minutes,
Thank you.
that you and trustee Petlicoff voted against. it.
Thank you.
So, okay. All right.
All right.
Almost there.
All right, so the minutes are passed, 4-2. Then we-
The June 12th.
The June 12th, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for clarifying. Okay, so what
The
about
other
the
two-
executive session and the finance committee? Does anyone have any objection to those being accepted? Or can I attach a unanimous vote to those?
Please do.
Okay,
Yes.
good, okay. On to the next.
Action items. Are there any agenda items on this agenda which board members or the superintendent wish to discuss and vote on separately? If there are, we will exclude these from the motion below. Recommended action. Move that action items numbered 1 through 12 be approved as recommended in this agenda with the do we want to, we need to poll 9 and 10 for a roll call.
Yeah, so why don't you read that? We do have to pull number 9 and 10 for a roll call.
So with the
So
exception of 9
read
and 10.
that, please.
Are there any others?
Yeah, so with the exception of 9 and 10.
And
All
I
right.
just wanted to comment on 8.
Yes, we'll do
You
that
want
just a
8?
second. So we have a motion on the table?
She doesn't want 8 polled, though.
No.
And I wanted to also. So we have a motion on the table.
Support.
Okay, thank you, trustee Barry. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. All right. So the motion on the table, is there dissension from the motion? Anyone? It's
Do you wanna make a
unanimous.
comment? Trustee
Yes.
Hamud wanna make a
So we're going to go through, so we have those. All right, so trustee Hamud, you want to make a comment on 8? And I did also. So go ahead, trustee
Well, we
Hamud.
are voting on approving welcoming resolution today. And I know that we have discussed this in the past, and we have read the resolution. I'm very proud to have worked with all of you on this resolution, proud to chair the policy committee in which the resolution is passed, and I just do have a couple of words I'd like to say about the resolution, if that's okay.
Yep.
Thank you. In the context of a national climate that has felt increasingly hostile to marginalized communities, including immigrants and refugees, our resolution reaffirms that Dearborn Public School District is a welcoming community dedicated to the principles of diversity and inclusion. This specific resolution is to affirm to students of all backgrounds that regardless of national policy shifts, Dearborn School District is relentlessly committed to providing quality education to every child. People across the country look to Dearborn as a model for diversity, which is precisely why we need to take the lead on this issue. We have a responsibility to model for the rest of our state and country how an inclusive community like ours responds when national policy context is sending the message to some of its members that they are not welcome here. Hopefully, this resolution will send a message to all students in our district that you are welcome here, that you are valued here, and that we are stronger because of the diversity of your experiences. Thank you.
Thank you, nice statement. I also wanted to point out I wanted to ask a question about number 8. So I know that Ms. Alibazi is here and Mr. Mustonen, who are usually our experts on policies. I noticed one typo on page 2 of the professional staff. It says human rumen, so rumen I think needs to be taken out. But on page 3 and on page 8, it says visual evidence. I thought that wording was unusual. Did that mean written evidence rather than visual? I'm assuming that oral, like a tape or something, would not be accepted. be visual evidence as proof of their
I-
professional credentials. I think that was the context of it.
Visual evidence, thank you. I was gonna say, I need
Yeah,
a copy
so
of it.
I wondered whether that might be a little bit
I'm thinking
easier
visual
to
evidence is,
understand as written. I don't know.
what page, trustee, President
Page
Lane?
3 and page 8 of the policy, and that's on professional staff. So I didn't know what kind of evidence might be visual evidence. I wondered whether that might be written.
Can I-
Or physical.
Or physical evidence, okay.
Might be the proper,
That a
might be a better
visual.
word rather than visual.
Concrete.
Visual, okay,
Yeah.
Physical
all right.
evidence as
Because
far as
br-
a resume
right,
or
yeah.
proof of your work, a certificate, showing your qualifications, what have you.
Okay.
Were there any others?
No, that was it for
Okay.
the only thing I noticed, so.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
All right, so we have 1 through 12, excluding
Excluding-
8 and 9. We have
No,
a
9 and
motion.
10.
Sorry,
Yeah.
9 and 10, thank you. Can I accept that unanimously? Did I ask that already? I don't know
Yes,
where
thank
I'm
you.
at. So, no dissension on that?
No.
So trustee Petlicoff,
You
would
want
you
me to
read the summary?
The
then?
summary. Number 1, approval of contract to Office Express. Number 2 through 5, approval of non-instructional and instructional personnel items for P12. Number 6, approval of 2017-2018 Board of Education meetings as outlined in Board Report 16-127. 7, approval of the school district membership in the Michigan High School Athletic Association for the period of August 1, 2017 through July 31st, 2018, as per Board Report 16-128. 8, approval of policies per Board Report 16-129. 11, approval of donations. And 12, I had to, because it was an addition, had to write my own, so forgive me. Approval of award of contracts to vendors for the Berry Heights campus renovation per Board Report 16-132.
Okay, great, good.
Now
On
we-
to 9.
9.
9 will require a roll call vote.
9, adoption of the 2016-2017 second budget revision. Recommended action, move that the resolution for adoption by the Board of Education for the School District of the City of Dearborn, second revision of the 2016-2017 general fund budget as per Board Report 16-130 be adopted.
So moved.
Support.
And Mr. Wall is smiling ear to ear right now, so we need a roll call on that.
We need another revision.
Yes.
Okay, roll call. Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Hamud?
Yes.
Trustee Nasser?
Yes.
Trustee Mead?
Yes.
Trustee Petlicoff, yes. Trustee Lane?
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. Next.
Number 10, adoption of the 2017-2018 budget, general fund, debt, retirement, food service, capital fund, and adult education. Recommended action, move that the resolution for adoption by the Board of Education of the School District of the City of Dearborn, 2017-2018 general fund, debt, retirement fund, food service, capital fund, adult education fund budgets as per Board Report 16-131 be adopted.
So moved.
Support. Okay, roll.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Hamud?
Yes.
Trustee Nasser? Trustee Mead?
Yes.
Trustee Petlicoff, yes. President Lane?
Yes, your motion carries unanimously. All right,
All right.
that's it. On to discussion items,
Discussion
please.
items. Oh, another fun one. Boundary line changes, school of choice, and boundary line exemption, Dearborn High School edition.
So we have Ms. Ali Bazzi and Mr. Wall will come up for this discussion item with a brief presentation. Just an update.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for passing the budget. Made my life very much
Unanimously,
easier here.
both
Sleep
of
good
them.
tonight, huh?
Yes.
Yes, I will.
You want to begin with Dearborn High?
Yep. All right, so we're just giving you a quick update on some of the things we talked about in the June timeframe. We'll be ready for the July 24th meeting to talk about the Dearborn High expansion. We've had our architects working on it. One of the things that we as we went through this process, the state of Michigan adopted the updated international building codes back in April, and that's going to impact us, but they delayed the implementation until the first of the year for 2018. So if we go through this process and we delay the approval for any construction documents that has to get to the state before then, we're going to have to actually deal with the new storm shelter requirements that has to deal with high winds of 250 miles per hour, which will actually increase what we have to do. For example, if we have a sporting event, we're able to have to increase our capacity to handle everybody at that time, and so which means a lot of upgrades to the building itself. So it's not a bad thing, but it's just looking at the time requirements of what we want to do, because that'll actually push back and it obviously increase the cost of any kind of construction after that time period. And second, we're actually still looking at the options. We're looking at the upper G Hall where we put the recent addition, expansion on the main floor around that expansion, and also looking going into some of the courtyards. So there's several different options we're still looking at. So at the July 24th meeting, we'll come back with several options for the Building and Site Committee to look at and potentially discuss at the full board on the 24th. That's the update on the Dearborn High side.
So when we last talked about this, just to briefly update you on the, we had voted on having Middle Cities and Plant Moran conduct their studies. We just received the Plant Moran study back last Tuesday, so that's under review. I can tell you that the Plant Moran study, just at a quick glance, and again, this is just a quick glance to see what direction it was going in, is that they project higher numbers than what we had projected. Oh, thank you, I didn't change that. And then for Middle Cities, the projections were the same as Stanfred, which is the other company that we used in the past previously, and which showed a slight decrease. And Middle Cities study were lower than our internal numbers. So we will be dissecting and analyzing and looking at all these two reports, these studies currently, and then we're also going to be.
And we'll get the copies to the board, too, through communication.
Yeah. And then we're also going to be focusing on our stakeholder communication and feedback piece, just like when we're doing anything major in the district that impacts the entire district and all the buildings. So we'll be doing like school visits with the staff and parents and community as a way to promote dialogue, ongoing dialogue about the direction that the district is taking. The Student Advisory Board, which you met many of those wonderful students tonight. Multiple opportunities. The goal is that our stakeholders have multiple opportunities to be heard and to also hear the changes in the process and the plans as things are unfolding and progressing. So it's still very early in the stages right now, and this is the intent is just to make sure that we keep everyone as updated as possible.
Trustee Barry?
I'm not going to comment on the increase or decreases until we see those reports. But speaking of stakeholders, was the Board of Realtors reached out to by any of the companies we use? Because we discussed that in our meeting.
The Board of Realtors?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I actually just got my hands on one of the reports
Okay.
just today.
Just
but I will
look for
check that
please.
and I will let you know, yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And if they didn't, Trustee Barry, we can still ask them to go back and do that.
Because if one company's saying increase, and I'm saying decrease, and I'm reading a report here, I don't want to waste time with, it says how our district is growing, and it's going to, my opinion is it's
Was
going to
it
keep growing
increasing?
without a doubt because of the real estate trends.
Right, and I
People that
remembered
used
that.
to move out of the city
Yeah.
are moving into the 4128 and the 4124, so they're staying in the city, especially the families, so.
Absolutely, and that's what I was actually thinking about when I was was that conversation we had at
Yeah.
the board meeting, and when you were saying that about the real estate because of your background in real estate. But if they didn't include it, we can still have them go back and include it.
I can't think of I'm just drawing a blank on our current president's, I know our former president is Mr. Sam Baydoun, and he would be a library for
Yeah,
information.
absolutely.
Laura Green at the Board of Realtors can probably.
He said Sam Baydoun.
I said, I can't remember our current president's, I haven't been too involved there, but I know our outgoing president, Mr. Sam Baydoun, has a wealth of information when it comes to that. And Miss Laura Green, she's our executive secretary. She can provide you with trends. I mean, that's out there. I mean,
You said Lori Green, correct?
Laura Green, Board of Realtors, Executive Officer.
Okay.
She has access to real comp and the trends there. Once you see those, you'll know what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, will do.
Good.
Any other comments, questions?
Anything else? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Secretary Petchel.
Okay, Board of Education Business, acknowledgment of correspondence.
Not much. Looks like Dr.
Just-
Maleko has something.
Just a positive letter from Miss Rita Roche, who just retired, and just thanking for being part of Dearborn Public Schools for 43 years. So I can pass that around to the board, but it's basically just a positive letter from her that she's stopped by today. So.
Nice.
Nice.
Next.
Board member committee and organization reports.
Trustee Barry?
Finance committee met, and we just approved the minutes. I'm just going to go over just very quickly what we went over. And if you have any questions, Tom, don't leave yet. Yeah, we discussed the millage levy for the operating debt and hold harmless. We went over some good, I mean, I got to give credit. I mean, Secretary Petrikov is on that committee, and Trustee Thorpe did an amazing job. He's the expertise there. He has all the expertise there. We went over the second draft of the budget that we just approved. Audit, we're going through an audit, expectations, and there's been some changes that was shared with us. The early college program funding model, we have different interpretations, but we'll get to the bottom of that. And scrutiny of the audit, there's some changes there too. Did I miss anything?
No, I left my paperwork at home, so.
I'm not going through this
Yeah.
unless you want to.
No, that's okay.
Any questions?
We spent a couple of hours.
It was a good
in
meeting. It was a very good meeting.
detail.
It was, after canceling that meeting a few times, we finally met and had a good meeting, so. Any questions, anybody?
No, just to Trustee Nasser, you have your committee appointments now? Yes. Good, great.
Thank you. See, Tom, we didn't even need you.
Thank you to the committee for flexibility, so we could get that meeting in, prior, based on some of the
Well,
changes. So thank
we
you.
know that whenever it comes time for finalizing the budget, it's a moving target constantly, and so we need to be ready and prepared to meet in order to make sure that we have the most up-to-date and recent information. Because a lot of things are based upon assumptions rather than real-time decisions that are being made for us in Lansing and Washington, D.C. So we know that we need to be prepared. So that's one of the reasons why we're being very cautious in all of our estimations with how our funding will balance moving forward and the wisest ways to protect it. We're one of the few school districts who actually have a decent budget. And that's something that we don't want to ever lose sight of in the upcoming years.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay,
Go ahead.
we ready? Board member comment and superintendent commentary.
I'd like to say something. I met with Ford last week, and they have a lot of programs going on for middle school, high school, and elementary students. So I met with some of them. They have summer camps that are engaging students over the summer creatively. They have one that I was especially fond of, Women in Technology programs, where they capture the middle and high school girls that are involved in, interested in the sciences, and retaining them through that program, and giving them scholarship opportunities for engineering, women in engineering, IT programs, and things of that nature. And so I gave that information to Dr. Maleko today. He's going to look at it and see if he feels if any of these programs are a good fit for our schools.
Just so that we're not competing with ourselves, Henry Ford College also has summer camp programs
Yeah.
for those, so I want to make sure that we don't take away from the programs we already have
Right.
developed.
All of the programs haven't worked with Dearborn schools. There was one, I'm sure, that was with Henry Ford College, one of the summer programs.
And I have a commentary, and this is the last time I'm going to speak of this. I just want to remind all of the board members, we just had a board retreat where Dr. Wilmot reminded us of one thing, and quite frankly, after last week's meeting, I felt it wasn't honored, and that's no surprises. Nobody wants to be blindsided and left out of the information loop. We're working as a team, and to move forward and to make this team work, we can't be having board members who are unaware of what especially since it wasn't on the agenda, and unprepared for how certain meetings develop and unfold. And quite frankly, myself, and I don't know about other board members, but I felt unprepared for that meeting and the way it developed, because there were surprises. There was information that was not communicated to everyone fully, and the implications of information that was given was not complete. And so I hope that in order for this board to work well as a team, that we no longer have any surprises in store for any of the board members and/or our college president or superintendent in the future. And that's all I have to say.
Well, I'll respond. I think part of that is directed to me, and we have had surprises, and I was also surprised. I will say that I spoke with Dr. Wilmot, I believe as late as Sunday night, and we were talking about whether we would have everything on the table, all 6 people to be voted on. I did not speak to our council until later on Monday, at which time, and of course I shared with the rest of the board the opinion that we received. So I did not speak with council until Monday afternoon. So I was surprised. I think we were all surprised by the legal opinion. So it was not my intention to surprise.
Well,
board
I was also
members.
surprised by the swiftness of the appointment going down that evening as well. And
Well,
I was totally unprepared for it to move in that direction without any potential of that being the outcome when the lawyer's reading of the bylaws was given to us, that would happen that night. And I felt that it wasn't a team play, quite frankly. And I just want to make sure if we want to move forward, that we all have to be working together and not in silos.
Trustee Hamud, I know you want to say something.
The thing is, I think we all learned a lesson, and one thing, I believe when we did contact our council, what he gave us is what was in our own bylaws. So, you know, it falls on us too, and it made me go back, and I know I've read through some of these bylaws before, I know not as attentively as I should. And that falls on us as well. So I think that, you know, I don't think that we were surprised with the legal opinion. I think the opinion was the wording, and I think that moving forward, I think we've all learned to, if we're gonna take a vote or not take a vote, we know we're responsible for that. And at the end of the day, it was what was in our bylaws, and hopefully moving forward, when one of us decides to make a decision, we know that moving forward we are better, and we are all of us are more well-versed from our own bylaws and policies. So that also falls on us. I don't think it's fair to say that that the attorney just, you know, gave us something that
That wasn't what I
unfortunately
was
we were
referring to. I was referring to the appointment being done right outside of the agenda. And
Yeah, and that was due to the 30-day deadline. So Trustee Barry, I know you want to.
I wasn't going to comment on this, but, I mean, what I'm hearing, you know, what Secretary Petrikov said, how we were surprised Monday night. I'm sorry, tired, long day, long week. I mean, we have a copy here that was shared with us from our attorney here on June 16th, which would have been that Friday before that Monday. Date's on there. The lawyer didn't just put a date on there, then decided not to deal with it until Monday. We also got a copy, I received a copy at least, and I think all board members, yeah, it says here board members, on the 18th, which was Sunday,
that's when I
which was
saw it.
Father's Day. I looked at it, and I read it. I remember what I did the previous Monday at the meeting. And I don't want to, keep repeating it, but I looked at it, and it's clearly said in bold print. I mean, this is sensitive information, but in bold print, Says, unless specifically authorized by the Michigan Conflict of Interest laws, any board member decision to abstain shall be recorded and deemed to acquisite in the action taken by the majority. And on Father's Day that night, I circled the word majority. I understand what the word majority means. At this point, it's going to be up to one lawyer and another lawyer and a judge to define that, so let's leave that alone. But to say that nothing happened until late Monday, that's hard to swallow.
That is when I talked to the attorney and I asked him, do I understand this? Now, I received an email on June 17th. It may be dated June 16th,
Okay.
but of course, we can check
So that
when
would have
I
been
received.
Saturday.
So on Saturday, yes,
Yes.
and then we had graduation.
Correct,
So,
correct.
yeah.
But it was also
So-
stated at the last meeting at the Henry Ford College that there was, at least one, if not two, board members that was doing research on this over the weekend.
That may be.
Okay,
in-
yeah.
Okay. Anything else? All right.
A request for information in our future agenda items.
Trustee Barry.
Dr. Maleko, I asked for suspension rates, the report. I know President Lane followed up with, she wanted it broken down by ethnicities. Is there a reason why we haven't gotten the Lori information?
The Lori, go ahead, yeah, sure.
So you did receive the report with all the other schools, correct?
About 2 months ago, yes.
Right, okay. So, since then, they did add, what they were doing is they weren't adding their data in MyStar the way the other buildings do. And so it's a tedious process to go back and to put it into MyStar.
What is the procedure?
There's no documented procedure, but I did have a conversation and looked into it. And if just for some reason theirs was always on a spreadsheet instead of in the actual system. But they have since gone back and added quite a few. Have you not?
We'll get the new report pulled for Lori.
When?
Yeah.
Because I've been waiting for this.
I can
honestly.
actually send it to
I
you
mean,
this
if it was on a
evening.
spreadsheet, that would have been good enough for me.
Okay.
But to be honest with you, to be waiting for this information for 2 months and not receive it, the mind gets a little funny on you. What the heck's going on here?
That's understandable. I can say that I've been in contact with the principal. She had 2 deaths in her family in that time period. And so I could go to the assistant principals, but I've just chosen to wait for her. But I can get that information to you. It's no problem.
Okay, I respect that. In that report too, Dr. Maleko, I asked you about the students that were suspended this year at Dearborn High, to take a look at that list that was provided to us and give me your thoughts. Would you like to share your thoughts today? Have you looked at them? You want to get that information over to me?
I'd have to go back and review it. I mean, I did look at the data initially. There was a lot of data in there, but I'll have.
No, I was very, very specific for this school year.
Yeah,
Write it down, please.
sure.
For this school year, the 51 students that were suspended for almost 250 days, I said, look at the data you provided us, and I was thankful to President Lane for asking for it to be broken down by ethnicity, and share your thoughts with me. Obviously we'd have to share it with us. For you not to do this, I know it's been a busy month for you and for all of us, but I am getting to a point here where when I ask for information, I would expect it sooner than it's been coming to me. The other thing I wanted to bring your attention, I don't know if we're working on it, is when our students graduate, the remedial classes they're taking. That was asked quite a while ago
Yeah.
too, so.
And that one, I know Shannon Peterson.
I
put
have
a-
that
yeah.
copy, but that's like
Shannon, why don't you
10% of
co-
what I'm looking for.
Yeah,
to be
that
honest with
one
you.
is a little more challenging, and
Yeah.
I'll let Shannon explain, because we don't control the data sets
Right,
from the college.
I was
and-
able to ask Henry Ford to give me the percentages. I can't, it's unavailable in myschooldata.org. I thought there was a report that's available, and it has not been available. So I can contact every college around here, and
No,
it's up to them.
I specifically asked you for University of Michigan Dearborn,
Yeah.
Wayne State, and Henry Ford. Henry Ford shouldn't be that.
Right, Henry Ford I have.
With all due respect, it
Right.
has nothing to do with what
Sure.
you're doing. Henry Ford shouldn't be that difficult to get.
So you have Henry Ford.
We
You
have just for the math?
No, I put the reading in a board brief. I can reshare it with you. Yeah, it was it was,
When I ask
Yeah.
for a report, I expect a report, not information, again.
I put it in a
you
board
guys do
brief,
good
so
work.
my
Okay,
error.
so I don't want to chunk here.
It was
chunk-
it was referenced in board briefs that Ms. Peterson had
Again,
some of the
please,
data, yeah.
when I ask for a report, I would like to see
Sure.
a report.
Sure.
Not some information here about math, then, information, I mean, when you told us the setup that you're doing right now is, if we want to know what's going on with the Dearborn High track or the Fortune
Yeah,
track, whatever, to go visit them. I don't know if anybody has the time to go sit there and read every word and everything. A report's simple, I would like to think. If you don't have it complete, then just say we don't have it complete. But did you reach out to University of Michigan Dearborn or Wayne State?
We're in the process. I told you it was going to take a little bit of time. I have not spoken to them directly. I'm going to have some of the executive directors. I know Dr. Mosellam has stated he would help us with this data.
So at
And
this
when
point, right now,
I don't
today,
have it.
today, we haven't reached out to
No, I
anybody.
don't- I
You're
don't
saying it's
have-
going to take some time,
Yeah.
but here's 2 months later, we haven't reached out to anybody, and, okay, all right.
Dr. Malenko, I'd like to ask also if we might have the numbers on the seal of biliteracy, how many graduates we had that were awarded the seal of biliteracy, and in what languages?
And I think we do have that from
Yeah,
Dr.
I
Mosellam
think
available.
somebody.
And
they were-
attending the high school graduations,
They-
those were recognized at
Yeah.
honors
Right,
night, that was
right, they were
amazing. And I
recognized,
thought,
so I think maybe
I remember
we
that
could
very
put-
first meeting when you brought that back from that California.
So I'd just say too, and I apologize if there's been any delays, the data that you wanted on Dearborn High, I thought that you just wanted me to look at it for analysis. I didn't know that you wanted a report back, but I'll get that now that I'm
I
concerned.
specifically- I don't know
again,
if I sent the email or text message or
Yeah.
what, but I said, look at the data
Yeah.
and just share your thoughts. Because let me just, I guess, I can't get into the data here, but it's very, very ugly. I am so glad that I keep saying trustee, it's Chair Lane, asked for that to be broken down.
Yeah.
It's very, very important. It's going to be very, very important when we start talking about busing.
Yeah.
That's why I'm passionate about that.
Okay.
I had a couple other things I wanted to get to.
So, and I'll get you that data, but when you said share your thoughts, I didn't honestly get the impression it was a report you wanted, so,
Okay, that's fine, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, just I'll wait for that. I know sometimes when I ask for things under this venue here, request for information, people question, what's he doing? And I remember the only person at this table was Chair Lane when I started asking about graduation rates. I literally was asked the next day, why am I beating up on Edsel Ford? Or why am I beating up on Fordson? I asked for graduation rates broken down by middle schools. For a couple schools, I wanted broken down by gender. Okay, and we got the ugly data. And we as a district and as a board, as administrators and teachers and all employees across the district went to work. We know what the fruit of that, mostly the employees did. Our graduation rates skyrocketed. And I am very, very so proud of Edsel Ford being the top, because they were at the bottom, okay? So when I ask for something, there's a reason why I ask for it. I don't want, Mr. Mashur or Tom, give them extra work. So when I ask for the information about out-of-state conferences and what have you, I wanted to know what we're spending on that. I wasn't questioning, Con Ed or what have you, and I respect Con Ed. I always did as a realtor. I think it's the greatest thing if a teacher or administrator or anybody wants to continue their education and learn, just to come back here and better serve our district. But the other thing I wanted to know is something that's been burning in my head was the AVID program that we have. I would like to see the contract when we signed it. I would like to, by seeing the contract, I would like to, obviously I would know who signed it. And the other part is how much money have we spent on this? When there are people sharing their thoughts on that. I don't go out soliciting information, but there are people sharing their thoughts with me about that and telling me that this is something that we're looking to get away from. And I know at one time, one of our breakfast meetings, Dr. Malenko, you mentioned that we're going to have a new system coming up. I think we spent a lot of money into that program, and I guess the question I would ask too, I would like to know why, since Avid has 4 locations in our country, Eastern, Central, Western, and all the way out in San Diego, California. I'd like to know why are we out in San Diego, California compared to maybe Cleveland or something closer to home where I know would be cheaper for transportation. And my last thing here, and I know it's been a long night and we all want to get home, so my last thing is, I know we do a lot of, and I see a lot of the board members, and I see you, Dr. Maleko, a lot of events, community events, and dinners and what have you. I would like to see a report for the last 3 years, which clubs, associations, what have you, that we've spent money on. And I would like to, a little spreadsheet, doesn't have to be too much information, a little spreadsheet, someplace under notes, why we supported that particular event and how it serves our strategic plan, please.
Okay. Next item.
All right, future meeting dates, Monday, July 24th, 2017, P12 Board of Education meeting, 7 PM at the Administrative Service Center in the Frank Franchi Boardroom. Monday, August 14th, 2017, HFC meeting, 7 PM at the Andrew Mazzara Services and Conference Center in the Rosenau Boardroom, Henry Ford College. Monday, August 21st, 2017, P12 Board of Education meeting, 7 PM at the Administrative Service Center in the Frank Franchi Boardroom.
I'm sorry, Trustee Petchikoff, I have to read one other, I know we forgot to put on here.
I was going to say something's missing.
The Policy Committee at the college,
Oh.
which is 6 PM, August 14th, 2017. That's the Policy Committee. It'll be meeting in the President's Conference Room at the college.
At 6 PM?
Yeah, at 6 PM. Yep, that's Trustee Hamud's committee. So that being done, we are adjourned.